We woke up this morning to the news, the pictures, broadcasts of a storm that came into what is called the Big Bend area of Florida. For those of us that have lived there, we call it the armpit. But a horrendous Cat 4 at times hurricane that came in. I guess this is one of the strongest ones that's been recorded in quite some time. Barry, you were talking about in prayer, David and Faith that are down there. I've checked in with mutual friends of ours that actually left and went up into Georgia. Another one that's, from what I can hear, everybody's fine. So life seems to be full of storms these days, not just in the physical,
yes,
but in the spiritual sense.
especially.
And so I wonder, do we have, when you have a storm that you go through in life, Barry, Kathy and I, Daniel, we went through a tornado a number of years ago, and it's a time where people come together. It's a time in which people kind of drop their agendas, their attitudes at times, even. They drop what they're doing. They drop their own plans and pitch in and help each other. And that's wonderful. And that's recorded on television, on broadcasts, and, Maui strong and Timbuktu strong, and, all these cliches that come out. But what about the spiritual storms, Barry? Do people, instead of allowing ourselves to become vulnerable with each other, kind of hide in the midst of those storms, withdraw ourselves?
Yes, I'm thinking that there are times that the storm in our lives appears like a tsunami or a sudden onslaught of a tornado. It's like, wow, how did this happen this fast? Circumstances just go into a downward plunge suddenly. Other times, like this hurricane, you see it off the horizon. It's brewing. You have time to make some preparations. You see a spiritual situation developing. You're praying. You're asking God for mercy, help, guidance, etc. We try to pray storms away or spiritual circumstances away. Sometimes they just don't go away. And God says, you're going to trust me through this. Unfortunately, those storms don't come through as fast as a hurricane would. Sometimes they take a while, a lot longer than what we're comfortable enduring. I think of Rav Shaul writing about the shipwreck that he was a part of.
Yeah.
And he said that 2 weeks they went without seeing the sun. And he wrote later on, he said, we had despaired of life. We had just given up hope, and we were basically hanging onto the ship, waiting to go down with it and die. Thankfully, he was rescued, as was everyone with him. When you come into a spiritual storm, whether it hits you suddenly, whether you have opportunity to prepare for it, the reality is, in the middle of it, you go into a survival mode of sorts. What else do I pray? How much longer do I fast? What scripture do I quote? Who do I call? What do I do? Yet Yah is always faithful. Sometimes we come out whole. Sometimes we come out scarred. Sometimes we just don't come out. And the idea that, well, I'm going to pray, and I'm going to get my favorite folks to pray with me, and we're going to quote these verses, and we're going to declare, and we're going to decree, and the devil's going to be defeated. Yeshua looked at Kepha and said, Hasatan is asked to sift you like wheat. He didn't tell him, I have said no. That was close, son. You better pay attention. No, he told him, you're going to get sifted.
Yeah.
But I have prayed for you. So he didn't pray the sifting away. He said, I have prayed for you that when you are sifted, that you will be restored. He prayed for the aftermath. Yah allows us to be sifted. And that's, you would think, why would he allow us to be sifted? Why would he allow us to go through that process? Shimon Kefa later wrote, don't think it's strange concerning the fiery trial that is to try you as though some strange thing has happened to you, but it's for the perfecting of your belief.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to be taken from idealistic quote a verse to survive mode to a better standing on better ground. And the only way we can do that is so that we have what we're trusting in has to be proven. And if it's not provable, if it doesn't stand the testing, we were standing on false ground all along.
Mm-hmm. You know, there's this greeting we have with people. How you doing?
I'm blessed.
How's it going? Yeah. How are you today? And typically it's fine. I love what the definition from one movie from years ago is. The word fine is freaked out, insecure, neurotic, and emotional. Yeah. It's kind of this, yeah, you're fine. All right. There's no doubt about that. Is it possible that there's not victory because, okay, Barry, I can pray, I can fast, and maybe, well, that's as far as we go with it. You talked about, well, I can get my favorite people to pray with me, but we're never getting the place of vulnerability with each other. In the book of Yaakov, James, is someone among you ill? He should call for the elders of the congregation. They will pray for him and rub olive oil on him in the name of Adonai. The prayer offered with trust would the ill, and Adonai will restore his health. If anyone has committed sins, he will be forgiven. And it's easy to just say, guys, I need prayer. It's difficult to say, here's what I need prayer for.
Yeah. Special unspoken request.
Yeah. How many unspoken requests we got? Well, I don't know, Barry. I've read this book a few times, and I can't find unspoken prayer requests stated in there. What I do find is bear one another's burdens. Pray that you may be healed. This attitude of, well, it's just me and God. I think it'd be wonderful for someone to walk into a congregation and someone looks at them and says, "How you doing?" And they say, "I'm on the edge of just I can't. I don't even know how to survive." Just be real with people. And from what I see, from what I've experienced in places I go, people I'm around, we live in a day that people are hurting. And to act like nothing's happening is just not honest. And maybe the reason is because the sifting is about us, that sifting is about the flour. You sift that flour you can get out impurities. It changes the consistency a little bit to where it makes something better in the end. Are we willing to go through that process with each other? And maybe we can talk about what some of the reasons why many will not go through that, but want to just, well, I'm just not, I just don't want to face anybody today. Guess what? The day that you don't want to face someone is the day you probably should.
Yeah. I'm thinking of Galatians 6:1. Brothers, if a man is overtaken in some trespass, you, the spiritual ones, set such a one straight in a spirit of meekness, looking at yourself, lest you also be tried too. And then it says, bear one another's burdens, and so complete the Torah of Messiah. The completion of the Torah that we claim to walk in is servanthood for one another. There are some folks, I'm sure, that we would think of and think, I just don't know if I really want to get involved in all that drama. I just, that's just a mess. Well, if they're drowning in it, somebody's got to throw them a life preserver of some sort to help them, or they're going to drown in it. It's too late. I know we didn't intend to go here, but the rate of suicide. Mike, I read a statistic today that kind of left me with my mouth hung up, and somebody was talking about another subject altogether, about gun violence. And of all of the gun deaths in America per year, statistics say 65% are because of suicide.
Yeah.
65%. I'm thinking of, a young lady here locally, distraught over a lost relationship that took her life. 15 years old. And you would think, well, what were they thinking? Well, there were a 15-year-old kid who did not know how to handle a devastating breakup. When it comes to people not surviving their crisis, not surviving their issues, the sifting takes them. The reason that Kepha did not hang himself like Yehuda Iskari did is because Yeshua prayed for him. When we see somebody going through a crisis, the least that we can do is to call out to Yah in their behalf. Oh, Yah, keep them. Don't let them fail in this testing. A greater step is, I see you're struggling. I don't have to know the details, but how can I help you?
Yeah.
Can I at least take you out and spend some time with you by some means? The process of restoration that is referenced here is not, okay, we're going to get together, lay hands on you, we're going to pray for you, and it's all going to be better. Now, it involves phone calls in the middle of the night where they're distraught and a puddle of tears. It involves correction and reproof. This is not what we prayed for. We were praying for this result, and you're acting toward a different result, and you can't do that. Our prayers are no good if you're not going to try to do something different than what you've been doing, etc. It means getting real with people and their stuff. Are we too busy? I mean, are we so consumed with whatever else is going on? The main thing, I heard somebody kind of in a leadership meeting, the main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. The main thing is people.
Mm-hmm.
And people will get all over you. I mean, you can't wash it off. People will get all over you. But why else are we here if it's not for one another?
Yeah. I mean, I had an email the other day. I met someone and driving along, they sent me an email and said, I would love to be able to talk with you and get a little counsel. And I called them back and they were shocked. I said, well, you emailed me and you asked to talk and your phone number was there. So, why not? I remember someone calling me or emailing me a number of years ago, and I picked up the phone and called him back. And when I said, "Hi, this is Mike Clayton," they broke out down in tears. And they said, "I can't believe you called me back." I said, well, you emailed me and asked me to. They said, "Yeah, but I also emailed 5 other ministries." And it's been 3 weeks ago, and no one ever called me. And so you were the kind of the last resort. Is that what we've become? That we don't have time for one another? The other side of that, Barry, is trust.
Mm-hmm.
As well as I do that we as a people deal with trust issues. I've been burned. You've been burned. We've walked through those times together. And it's like, well, I don't know if I want to do this again. I don't know if I want to be vulnerable again. Well, that's a choice each person has to make. But the scriptural basis is that we need to become vulnerable. And the other side is we need to be a people that are trustworthy. When someone shares something with you, does it stop with you?
Mm-hmm.
I had someone share something with me not too long ago, and they said, I just need to tell someone. And I can't divulge anything from there. That doesn't mean when someone says to me, I need to share this with you and you only, that does not mean me, my wife, my, those that are around me, my dog. No, it means I need to share this with you. So if we're not people that can be trusted with someone's vulnerability, then how can we expect them to become vulnerable?
In a manner of speaking, someone's issue, their vulnerable spot, is a guarded thing. It may sound crazy, but a guarded thing is a treasure.
Yeah.
You put locks on those things that you want to guard. So when someone brings to you a locked item and unlocks it for you, they are allowing you to look at a treasure. That treasure may smell, it may be defiled, it may be corrupt, it may be a lot of different things. It could be broken, it could be in pieces. But if they've been guarding it, then it is similar to a treasure.
Yeah.
If they say to you, I need to share this with you, I need help, then we should not feel burdened by that. We should be enriched by that, the fact that they are sharing a treasure with us. We can look at someone in their need and say, well, this is a lot to dump on me. Or what do you want me to do with this? Or now I'm burdened and carrying something heavier than I intended. Or we can say, this is an opportunity for me to be enriched by Yah using me to help this person through this crisis. When we are approached by such situations, it's not always because we have the answer. It's like, oh, yeah, how do I help them? What do I say? How do I respond to this? How do I even pray about this? Well, Yah has entrusted us with this person's treasure of hurt and issues and so on to teach us, this is my healing. This is how I want to repair and restore this. But who knows that it also will be a healing effect for ourselves. Is it possible that he entrusts us with certain situations because we need such deliverance ourselves?
Yeah.
Another side of that. I heard a pastor's wife say years ago, after another episode that happens, that's it. I will never stick my heart out there again.
Yeah.
I'm done. Every time I stick my heart out there and try to get close to people and love on them, they just break it and step on it. And I'm not going to do that again. I understand the sentiment. I've had that one. The reality is, though, you cannot minister to people from behind a fortress or inside a suit of armor. It takes vulnerability in getting down into the ditch with people to get them out.
Yeah.
And it is just a given. If you desire to do ministry, if you think ministry is just standing up in front of people and having a grand teaching, speaking opportunity, that's a fraction of what ministry is. Leadership in ministry is about people. I heard John Maxwell share years ago about a staff member who hurried through the vestibule area, the front foyer of a church after the services had let out. And he said, I was standing talking with people, and this young staff member just, excuse me, and got his way through the crowd and ran off to something other. And he confronted him the next day. What was so important? Well, I had to go and do thus and such. He said, that's not your ministry. The people you were excusing yourself to get by, they are your ministry. People are what's important, not duties, not running to go and do something. It's the people. My question is, Mike, those who minister to people, who ministers to them? When your pastor, leader, congregational leader, worship leader, whoever, mentor, when they're down in it, the congregation should not be offended that they do not feel that they can go to a congregational member and say, I need help. For a shepherd to reveal his vulnerabilities to his sheep, it doesn't work well. Not been my experience. So who do shepherds go to? Who do they cry out to and say, I'm falling apart here and I need some help? Do you go to a fellow shepherd? Sometimes you can. If there's any sense of a spirit of competition or whatever. The problem is, if you go to a fellow shepherd, you're going to probably get a shepherd's spiel. You go to somebody and they're going to preach you a sermon that they had last week. Well, let me tell you what I was preaching last week.
Yeah.
I'm not after a sermon. I'm looking for some empathy. I'm looking for some hearing ear. I'm looking for some compassion. I'm looking for a reproving word if I need it. I'm looking for an answer. I'm looking for somebody to say, I'm sorry you're going through that. And I'm not going to tell you my own story because you don't need to hear it, but I've been there and it does hurt. So I'm here to love on you and pray with you. And you call me. That's what they're looking for. But can you trust the shepherd not to get on social media and say, y'all pray for so-and-so, he's really going through.
Yeah. Yeah, you kind of rolled over one there in trying to find someone that we can cast, walk these things out with. Is it that a person is always looking for someone that's compassionate or correcting? If you go to someone and you're only wanting compassion, then you're probably never going to get through what you're in the midst of. A voice of correction. As we go through Proverbs, It speaks about correction over and over and over again. We need to make sure that in reaching out to someone, we're not just trying to find someone that's going to coddle us. Oh, I'm sorry, you're going. Let me get you some more milk and cookies. Yeah, sometimes you need somebody to look at you and say, "You're acting like the village idiot." Let's figure this out of how we get through this. You know, how do you help other? What do you do? How do you reach out to people? Where do you ask the question, where do people in ministry go? That's a tough one. Been there, done that. It's this business that we're in is really not one that, there are very few out there that if you go to them and say, my ministry is about to go bankrupt, and they say, could I have your mailing list? There's at times not a lot of compassion out there because there's competition. Just encouraging one another, Barry, going out of our way to encourage somebody. I came home Sunday night. I was absolutely overwhelmingly exhausted. I did Friday night with the young adults, young people, youth. And then I got back to the meeting place after being out past my bedtime. I got back there at 9:30, and I was in ministry mode from 9:30 in the morning till 8 o'clock at night. And then went back to the house and and we sat up and talked for a while. I got up next morning, drove 9.5 hours home. Kathy met me with, I've got a couple of notes here that came in the mail from people. You need to read them. And one of them was a lady who I met just past weekend for the first time. She's over 90 years old and wonderful lady. She sat down at 94, and I did not know this when I saw her, but it was already in the mail. She sat down at 94 years old and wrote me a 2-page letter. And I just sat there and almost began to weep over it, that someone would take the time. But we live in a society, Barry, that we're email driven and text driven and all these kind of things driven, instead of sitting down, talking with one another, bearing one another's burdens, calling somebody and saying, I'm not doing well. I need some help. I need some help in my marriage. I need some help in my family. I need some help with my children. Just help. I'm drowning. I'm drowning. There's a lot of people out there drowning, and suicide rates going up. All kinds of things happening out there. We as a family, I remember sitting down right here at this desk with Alex a couple of months ago doing an interview, and he said, it always bothered me when I was going to church and they'd say the church family. He says, I just look around and go, this isn't family. He says, everybody's, waiting for the last line to get out the door. He said, after going to church all my life, he said, when he came to our congregation, he said, actually it was Daniel and Catesby that invited him and his family over to their house. He says, that's the first time in my life that anyone had ever invited me into their home.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
We look at each other and suppose that because there is eyes open and a smile on the face that they must have it all together.
Yeah.
We suppose that those who have financial stability, they must be really happy. Look at the car they drive, the clothes they wear, the house they live in. They must have it all together. We suppose that if someone doesn't say something's wrong, everything must be right. when y'all bring someone to your mind, you may think, why am I praying for them? I wish I were them. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. We don't know the yelling match that a couple's just had, or what trauma a child is experiencing in school and has brought it home. We have no idea that those who seem to be affluent and wealthy are in debt beyond their eyeballs and about to lose everything, or that a job is rumored to be playing out and they're not going to be able to keep it up.
Yeah.
Health crisis, mental issues, traumas from the past. The bucket of issues is too big to carry. So when y'all put somebody on your heart, you dream about them, you're trying to eat and they keep coming to your mind. Set the plate aside, take a moment and pray. It might be good at some point to give them a text, phone call, see them in person. Y'all brought you to my heart. I just want to let you know I was praying for you. And if there's something I can help you pray with further, I'm here.
Yeah.
I don't need to know all of your stuff. But if someone is saying, I appreciate the prayers, don't stop, I may ask, is there something in particular or an area that specifically I can pray for you? If not, I'll just pray for you the best I discern and understand. It's not, we don't go barging in, we knock on the door.
Yeah.
And that has to be our approach. Some people are private. Some people will never divulge what they're dealing with. Some, whether it's just, I don't talk, I'm too insecure to be vulnerable or to be open. Some people will unload every issue they got and all at one time. And you think, what did I just sign on for here?
Yeah.
We've all had that situation. But you're right. I want to go back to something that you said, Mike. You said compassion, and you referenced it as, let me get you warm milk and cookies. Compassion, I don't see it that way. I think compassion is a hearing ear and a meaningful response. That meaningful response sometimes is that somebody does need their hand held, someone look in their eyes and say, I'm so sorry you're going through that.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is, you take them by hand, you look firmly in their eye and say, you need to stop. You're destroying yourself. And you're going to shipwreck you and everyone around you. So I'm here to hold you accountable if you'll accept my doing so. You can't hold someone accountable if they're not willing to accept it.
True.
But that's tough work. Don't sign on to that too easily. In Galatians, you who are spiritual, you set such a one straight, but do so in a spirit of meekness. Understand, you're as vulnerable as they are. Dealing with someone else's crisis, sometimes you start adopting their crisis, and it starts showing up in your own life. And who knows that someone's issue is Yah is using that to be a mirror for you to look in. That's, oh yeah, I'm trying to set them straight. I'm trying to help them, and I'm in worse shape on that than they are.
Well, it was said many years ago, there was an evangelist, very well-known evangelist, that was caught in a sexual sin. And someone said possibly the reason for that is because there had been someone else prior to that had been caught in the same thing. And they came out, the second person came out very judgmental, condemning, to the point of just there was no compassion. Those that we don't show compassion to, instead show total judgment over, that may open a door for us to walk through the same thing, to learn humility. In vulnerability, Barry, it's those that are opening themselves up to become vulnerable, and those who are receiving that vulnerability, both should be learning a new level of humility at the same time.
The same judgment that you mete out is the judgment you're going to receive.
Yeah. When someone comes to me, as I had happen this past weekend, and just really starts bearing everything before you, you should be humbled that not only is it that they trusted you with the things they're going through in life, but the Father trusted you to bring them to you. That should humble us.
Yeah.
Be worthy of that. That if you become someone the Father can trust to bring other people to you, so that you can, in the end, guide them to Him.
I'll close with this. We need to also learn the complete opposite of this. When people are celebrating, they're having a great moment, an achievement, a success. Their child has graduated. They got a new job. Even a birthday.
Yep.
Rejoice with those that are rejoicing. Share in their celebration. Hurt with those that are hurting. Weep with those that are weeping.
Yep.
Because we're family. We're supposed to be. And we're called to walk as Messiah did. Yeshua walked among a variety of people in a variety of situations. He healed the sick. He raised the dead. He spoke wisdom to those that needed it, correction to those that would receive it. He gave them the truth, but he did so out of great love for his people.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. All right. Well, hopefully, in there, they'll help people to make it through the storms that this life has. So, talk to you later, Barry.
All right. Thanks for sharing on your social media and comments. We welcome them. We'll see you again probably 2 weeks.
Yeah.
2 weeks.
Yep. You're going to be out of town.
I'm going to be out of town next week with family. So we'll take a week off and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Enjoy.